Hey guys, so welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day and you're doing very well. Today is April the 2nd, and to a lot of you that just may be a normal day, the day after April Fool's Day, you know, just living your life. It's no special event or anything, but to me April the 2nd is a very special and important day. April the 2nd is Autism Awareness Day. April is the Autism Awareness Month in general, but today is just the day. I think a lot of you may know, many of you probably don't. I have Asperger's, which is a form of autism. It is high functioning autism. I don't have full blown autism or anything. It's more of like a additional part of autism, I guess. So it's just a type. I've mentioned this once or twice on my channel. A lot of you who watch me already know. To probably the vast majority of you, everything I'm saying now is probably news. Like, you probably had like no idea. So because I keep saying that I want to start doing a sort of mental health series on my channel, this isn't really like Mental Health Monday, which was what I was talking about, but it's kind of the first step. I want to raise so much more awareness for autism because to me autism is very different from anxiety and depression. Anxiety and depression are very common in autism, but what I mean to say is anxiety is a sort of chronic permanent condition. It's incurable and it's the way that your brain is wired up, but whereas with anxiety and depression you can manage it and it's not really a personality disorder, whereas with autism it is more the personality and the mind. And also, you guys probably don't know this, but blue is actually the colour for Autism Awareness Month. So like pink is the colour for breast cancer awareness in October, so blue is the colour for autism, and this is the only like blue top I had. It's quite navy, but yeah. I've been meaning to do this kind of video for a long time, and I thought that today would be a great time to do it because it is Autism Awareness Day, and I've been thinking a lot recently about this sort of topic and ways to sort of tell you guys. And I was going to tell you guys a few months ago, but the truth is I was in quite a bad place a few months ago and I wasn't really ready to talk about it and kind of put it across in like a rational, good kind of way. It would have just been all over the place. So I don't really know if you guys are aware, or like if you've noticed or anything, but the past few weeks on like BBC and ITV and all kinds of different channels, there's been quite a lot of autism programs and like quite a lot of autism documentaries. I think there was one called Employable Me, and I think there was one called The Autistic Me. They were both documentaries. I think there were a couple of other things as well. And there's also this program called The A Word, and that's also on BBC on a Monday night, and it's absolutely amazing. It's the story of a young boy who has autism, and his parents and his family have just found out and they're really struggling to sort of come to terms with it. And obviously with autism, it's a bit of like a stereotype. Everyone looks at autism as like Rain Man, and as much as I love the film Rain Man, it's such a good film and Dustin Hoffman did an absolutely amazing job of portraying that character, it is a very stereotypical sort of thing. A lot of people were saying about this new program, The A Word, that they liked it, but it was a bit stereotypical because not every single boy or girl is like that who has autism, because not one person on the autistic spectrum is the same. It varies so massively. I'm sorry I'm swinging my chair around, I'm just a bit nervous. Not really nervous, just I do this like for comfort, I guess. And yeah, I mean, I completely agree. It was a bit of a stereotype. It was quite like a generalised character, I guess, but at the same time it's very confusing because they don't just want to like have a program with like all kinds of different kids on the autistic spectrum portraying different sort of traits and behaviour, because they think that it might like confuse the viewers, I guess, and like be hard to keep up with. With programs like this, you get the sort of the general idea of it, but it's amazing nonetheless. And I think all of these programs have been on recently to sort of help raise awareness, and because it's just before Autism Awareness Month, so that's great, and I'm very happy that they actually participated and made these programs specially for autism and to raise awareness. It's absolutely incredible, and the past few years autism awareness has become so much better, and I'm very lucky to be living in sort of generation where it's understood and accepted a lot more than it used to be. Obviously it's not absolutely perfect, there's still such a long way to go, but yeah. Anyway, so as I said sort of in the beginning of this video, I've been meaning to do this video for a while, but I've not really been ready, but I think I am now. Like, I think that I'm comfortable about doing it and I'm just in that right kind of mindset to do it. Plus, you know, like I've said, what better time to do it now, because I really want to help people if anyone else is in the same boat as me, and I really just want to raise awareness because this is the day to do it, if any day. So yeah, I have Asperger's syndrome. A lot of people pronounce it Aspergers, but I don't like pronouncing it like that. I have always pronounced it Aspergers. Like, obviously it's spelled with a G, but I say it like a J. Anyway, yeah, I think pronunciation doesn't really matter. It's just what you're comfortable with saying, I guess, and what kind of fits into it the most comforting way for you. So yeah, Asperger's, Asperger's, however you want to pronounce it. I feel like I need to do another video explaining autism to help people understand it better and explain the ins and outs of it, because I feel like if I did that in this video along with telling my story, it would go on for such a long time. So I will do a separate video just explaining Asperger's and how it works, and autism just in general, just all the in and out details. But I want to focus on more, you know, how I found out and whatever. Okay, I don't want to start it really cliche, like, when I was a kid, I was always so different. Like, I don't want to start it really cliche like that, but I guess when I was a kid, I wouldn't say I was different so much. I did fit in and I was very, very confident. I was a very confident child. I had a lot of friends. Yeah, so I was a very confident child. I wasn't scared of anything. I was pretty fearless. I was a bit of a danger child from when I was like a toddler until like 7 or 8. I loved my school. I loved the school I went to. It was great. I had a lot of close friends, but you know, I fell out with them quite a lot. Like, we had arguments more than like your normal 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds. Like, we argued like an abnormal amount, like me and all of my friends, and I don't know whether that was my fault, or I think that's the most common thing, like thinking that it's your fault. And I did feel like it was my fault because everyone told me that it was my fault, and even like a lot of like my friends' parents didn't like me and told me it was my fault and stuff. I think I was told that I was bossy 50 to 100 times throughout like my childhood, and I never really realised that I was doing it. Like, I never really understood that I was being bossy and that I was bossing my friends around. Like, I genuinely didn't mean to do that, and that's a very common thing with Asperger's people, and in fact anyone with autism. Like, they think that they're doing it in a certain way, like, you know, putting something across in a certain way, but it comes across completely the opposite way or whatever to everyone else. And I never meant to be bossy. I never intended to be that kind of child. It was just the person I was, I guess. I just liked to feel like a leader. I liked to feel in control. I felt as if like I was the brains of my friendship, and so I advised people. Like, when it came to kind of playing games and stuff, like I would advise people, and I guess they looked at me as like a leader almost of the group. And I would never put that title on myself because it's quite arrogant and full of myself. But aside from the times that we'd argue, we'd get on really well, and I would go to my friends' houses for like sleepovers and stuff. There was this one girl that I was really, really, really close to. I used to go to her house for sleepovers all the time. Like, her mum, she just liked having me as company for this girl. I don't know, yeah, her mum was just so lovely and so like second motherly to me. And I used to go to this girl's house all the time, and every time I would sleep over, I wouldn't be able to sleep until like 2 or 3 in the morning, and like I would just be wide awake and stuff. And at the time I kind of thought, I don't know, I didn't really think much of it because I had such a good time at her house that I didn't really think much of this sort of uneasy feeling. Like, I felt kind of uneasy, and I was a bit like, I wasn't homesick or anything, and I wasn't like anxious, but I just felt a little bit uneasy. I couldn't really sleep, and I think that's normal, I guess, when like, you know, when you're at somebody else's house. But it kept happening to me every time I went. Like, it almost seemed to get worse, like the more times I went, and like my friend would be asleep within like 5 minutes, and I would still be awake by like 2 in the morning. It just kind of seemed to get worse and worse, and obviously I did a lot with this friend, and I went out with her all the time, and she used to have like parties, kind of going out to town and whatever, but I just always felt really anxious, and I never really understood why. And not majorly anxious, just a little bit uncomfortable, I guess, and just a little bit sick. And when I just wasn't with my family, I never really thought anything of it because I just enjoyed it so much. And I don't want this video to just be like just about this friend I had, because I'm just mentioning, I guess, this is almost like a draw my life. Towards the end of year 4 was when I started getting bullied by these people who I've already mentioned on my channel. They were all older than me. They were all in the year above me. The 3 people, they were all like, I guess in year 5 when I was in year 4, and then in year 6 when I was in year 5. yeah, they started to bully me kind of minorly, very, very, very minorly in year 3, and then it progressed through year 4. It started to get worse through year 4 because when I was in year 4, I was split with some of the 5s, and then in year 5 I was split with some of the year 6s, so I was just with those people for like 2 years. It kind of got like progressively worse, and then when year 5 started it was really, really bad. I don't want to go into like masses of detail about what happened because again, I think I might save that for another video because you guys, there's so much that's happened in my life. I'm not kidding, I'd be here for about 7 hours. And I don't think any of us have got that long to spare. So yeah, I just want to, break it down into portions and do like separate videos on everything. So I was constantly like insulted about my confidence. Even my best friend, the girl I mentioned, even like one of the times when me and my friend argued, it was at her party and we all got into an argument, and even her mum told me that I was too self-confident. Like she was lecturing all of us. It was really weird, but she was telling me that I was too self-confident and stuff. And this video is not, me trying to like completely berate and slate people. I'm not trying to do that at all. I'm just explaining how I got to like the stage that I'm at now, I guess. And just like every little thing that affected me and had an effect on the situation. A lot of people did tell me that I was too self-confident, and like every time we'd go to like family gatherings and everything, like my aunties and my uncles and my cousins would always say like, she's really self-confident, oh my god, like what the hell, that's not normal. I was walking and talking by the time I was like 9 months old to 10 months old, and I found my voice very early on in life, believe me. Like I've always had an opinion towards everything, and I've always been very confident. I was never scared of what people thought of me. Obviously I was only young then, so I didn't really understand about like judgment and stuff, and like about bitching and sniping, and like it was just at school that I got really like targeted. I just keep kind of dipping in and out. Like I have no script for this video at all, so I'm sorry if it's all over the place and I keep talking about different points of this story muddled up and not like chronologically. It's just I remember things halfway through another story, so I just go back to it. So yeah, I'm really sorry if it's all over the place, but it's natural and laid back, so yeah. Anyway, back to the bullying thing. Yeah, I was bullied for about 2 years. It got worse on the second year of it, obviously. I stood up for myself a lot of the time. And the majority of the time I was really scared and I didn't say anything, which is really surprising for me. Like if any of you know me, I will not back down without a fight. Like if someone says something insulting to me, I find it so hard to ignore it. I always react, and it's so bad, but I just hate people treating me like that. And that's saying a lot, like that I ignored it quite a lot of the time because I just didn't know what to say. Like I was that scared, which is saying a lot for me. I think a few times if they were like insulting me and stuff, I'd be saying something to them. I'd be like, did you really just say that? Like, why are you being like this? Like frowning and stuff. And like everyone like would always like insult my facial expression, like, you're going like this, like you're frowning, it's really gross, like stop like interrogating me, stop doing this, stop doing that. Like I just don't think they liked the fact that I was kind of confronting them. I think that was why people picked on me a lot, because like I feel like they knew what buttons to press, and they knew that I was like a wind-up toy almost. Like they knew how to annoy me and to get me to kind of react. Yeah, I really hope you guys aren't getting pissed off with me for like mentioning these people like in detail. I don't want to mention names or anything like that. It's just this story would not make sense if I was not to mention these people. So as I was saying before, like I've always been confident, yep, and I've always stood up for myself, yep, and I've always been that kind of person. Like it was kind of like the school joke. Like I was always the person in our year to kind of put all the boys in their place all the time, and like I've never been immature like to the kind of like extent that everyone my age is. Like I'm so ahead of my years. I have the mental age of like a 30-odd-year-old, like a 40-year-old. I even took like loads of tests. I get on so much better with adults. I always have. Like obviously I have friends my own age, but in terms of like being able to just like mentally relate to them, I just get on so much better with adults. I've never understood boys' humour and their banter. I don't think it's funny at all, and I would always like put them in their place. Like I would walk across the classroom, the playground, and I would always say stuff like, just grow up, like seriously, just grow up. And like I was always quite like a moody kid. I was just always really annoyed and like so pissed off all the time, just because I just couldn't deal with like the stupidity of people and like just how immature they were. I don't know, I was just like the mother almost of like my year, but it's not really funny, it's not really a joke, because it was fucking messed up. The whole situation was just so messed up. Again, I don't want this to be like my bullying story, because I will make a separate video on that, but I know that I'm just rambling about like my life and my bullying and stuff, but it does all make sense at the end of how like I found out that I had Aspergers and stuff. So yeah, the long and short of it is that all of that confidence in me, all of that sort of you know, just that kind of stuff, it just kind of began to fade away. And as I mentioned previously, I would sometimes feel anxious going out with my friends, nothing major at all, just a little bit uncomfortable, like never at ease. That got a lot worse. I became really anxious at school. I felt as if like it was just dangerous for me. And it's like, you know, like when you have a panic attack and, you know, you read up on it or you talk to a therapist about it and they say it's because, you know, you're defending yourself in a dangerous situation. That's just, I think it was rational then for me to have panic attacks because it was a dangerous situation. I was in danger. I was very threatened by my teachers, and I was very threatened by my bullies, and I was very threatened by like the whole school, and it was rational for me to sort of feel that way. But at the time I didn't know what anxiety was. I knew what autism was because a few kids at my school had it. Again, it was a bit of a stereotype to me. I just thought it was people that played up, and I just thought it was the boys that kind of, or the girls that kind of weren't very sociable sometimes, or they just had issues. But weirdly, I was never like judgmental of those people, but quite a lot of people in my year were very judgmental of the autistic people, but I just never was. And I don't know whether that's because I'm more mature or whether because, I'm sorry, I can't talk, or whether it was because I could like relate to them subconsciously, I guess. It was kind of like that subconscious connection, but I had absolutely no idea that I was on the autistic spectrum myself. So I became a lot more anxious and a lot less confident. So it was like everything that I experienced as a kid, I don't know, like I just got more anxious and less confident. Towards the end of year 5, like I didn't make it to like the end of year 5, I don't think. In May this year, it would have actually been 5 years since I left. I just could not like physically tolerate like being at the school in the classroom or anything. It caused me so much anxiety, and I just could not like stop panicking. And like I would cling to my mum, and I would like cling to anyone who took me. I could not stay there without trying to like, you know, float my own boat or anything. I was always in the higher kind of groups in my year, because I've always been like a little bit more like intelligent, I guess, like academically. I guess like a lot of people are, like, you know, a lot of people just have that strength. But I guess for me, I wasn't just like kind of intelligent, I just understood a lot of stuff. Like I was just very, very, very understanding, and like I didn't have knowledge, I kind of had like understanding as well as knowledge. So yeah, and that's like a very common Asperger's thing, like, you know. So yeah, it ended really badly, and I left and I lost contact with all of my friends. They kind of didn't really ask me if I was alright and how I got on and stuff. It was like I mentioned in my anxiety video that I did about like leaving school. They just kind of thought that I was weird and stuff, and I guess they were kind of relieved that I was gone almost. I went to the doctors a lot because my anxiety was really bad. I lost my appetite, I couldn't eat anything. I literally had like such bad insomnia, I couldn't sleep. I was just like trembling all the time, like my legs would tense up and just shake. I just was a very anxiety-ridden child, I guess, and everything from my primary school experience had still affected me and stuff. Yeah, because my anxiety became worse and everything, like I was referred to the doctors, and I would see kind of like all kinds of different homeopaths and therapists and whatnot, and no one ever really like seemed to understand the problem. Like no one could ever pinpoint what was wrong. I don't know, I think they just all thought it was like a form of PMSD, PMSD, sorry, not T. Yeah, like post-traumatic stress or whatever, which I think it was, to be honest. I honestly do think it was. God, it's difficult to talk about because I don't want you guys to think that I'm just like such a kind of depressed person with all like these dark secrets and stuff, because I'm not. I'm just different, I guess. Like not different because I'm still very, very similar to the kid that I was, and I still put people in their place to this day and everything. I just don't have that confidence, and I just have a lot more trust issues and stuff. So yeah, anyway, I literally can't remember what happened because it was all just like such a blur, but I was referred to CAMS, which is a kind of mental health specialist place, and their waiting list, they have like this waiting list, it's really, really long, and a lot of people don't get referred until like 2 years after being put on the list or whatever. So I was put on the list and I had to wait like a year to actually be like, you know, referred. And in that kind of year, I was trying to go into this new primary school at the start of year 6, so that would have been like 5 or 4 months after I left my old school, and that did not work out for me. I couldn't go like into the lessons. I was kind of in the library with like this homeschooling service helping me, almost like sitting with me doing the lessons that they were doing simultaneously, and I was meant to be kind of going into the classroom, like working my way up to doing that, but I couldn't. Like after the Christmas of 2011 going into 2012, like I had to stop. Like I physically could not face it. That idea kind of failed, and then obviously between New Year in 2012 and September, I didn't have anyone seeing me. I kind of like taught myself almost. And then at the start of year 7, which would have still been 2012, I think, I was meant to go into high school, but I couldn't. So that homeschooling service started seeing me from the start of year 7 until the Christmas the following year, so like at the end of 2013. This is so muddled. I don't have a script. I'm completely just dipping in and out of all kinds of different stories and stuff. It's not chronological, but please bear with me. Like I'm just remembering all of this stuff. So yeah, so obviously I had that homeschooling service for that period of time, and in that time I was seeing CAMS, and let's go back to CAMS for 1 minute. I was being homeschooled, that's another story. Let's just go back to CAMS. So once I was referred, I had like quite a lot of sessions, and I saw this person who was really lovely to me. I really liked her, and I kept kind of getting moved between different people, like not all the time, but I saw at least 3 different people. Yeah, I just started to get so much worse, like as I was seeing CAMS. Like that was when I just started to develop agoraphobia, and oh my god, you guys, there are so many people that have seen me in my life. Like I had home tutors and I saw CAMS, and I also had an IDS worker who was like part of the autism team. I literally saw so many people that it's going to confuse you so much. But anyway, so I got really bad in that time, and like really bad anxiety. I couldn't trust anybody. That's why I didn't go anywhere, because of my bad experiences in primary school. I was terrified of everyone. I developed panic disorder because I was scared of having panic attacks and everything. I was very much a control freak when it came to avoiding situations. I was quite clever the way I did it. I rambled for like so long now about everything in between, but it all comes down to this day. So I'm actually getting to the point now. I went to have a CAMS appointment because I was actually having an assessment that day. This was the kind of day where they were gonna get to the bottom of what the issue was, or kind of find something in my mind, I guess, to diagnose me. I don't know. I didn't want to go. Like I literally kicked and screamed. I did not want to go. Like the building terrified me. It was boiling. I felt trapped. I felt claustrophobic. I hated the building so much. And the thing is with my parents is that they've never been like hugely strict and assertive. They don't force me to do anything that I don't want to do at all. But this day they did. Like they physically forced. Like that was the first time I think they forced me to did something. Grammar, Rhiannon. Grammar. Forced me to do something, and I was like, what if I throw up? Like, what if I pass out? Because I'm also ametophobic. Every time I have a panic attack, I feel like I'm gonna throw up, because I always feel like horribly nauseous. What if I throw up? And they'll be like, I'm sure they know how to deal with it. And I was like, Mom, how could you do this to me? Because I was absolutely adamant that something was gonna happen. I was terrified that I was gonna be dragged away and I was gonna pass out or throw up or anything. I don't know. I was basically forced to go. I was kicking and screaming the whole journey. Once we got there, I said, I really don't want to go in. Can you just make my therapist come out and see me, please? Or like I don't know what you'd call them at CAMS, just kind of like assessment person, you know. Can they come out and see me, please? And they were like, you can't do it in the car park, you have to come in. So they like pushed me through the doors, and I was walking across the corridor, and then there was like this second exit, so I like tried to leg it at the second exit, and they stopped me, my parents, and I don't know, like I was just terrified, because my parents have always been on my side, and I was like, the fuck, why aren't you on my side? Like, you are the enemy. It was such a horrible day. Like, I know that they were doing it for my own good because I needed a diagnosis, but I was so scared. Like, I don't know, I just felt ganged up on. Anyway, so I was sitting in the waiting rooms always and stuff, and by this time, like, I had kind of calmed down a bit, and then when I went into my appointment, there was the person that I saw there, and she was stood in like the back of the room, because their rooms are quite small, like all of their different appointment rooms. She was stood in the back with like this clipboard, and this woman who was like the actual assessor, who I hadn't seen before, with all like the games and stuff, like, you know what I mean, guys, like the kind of like the games and reading, whatever they do to kind of assess, like sensory, like assess you. I literally just felt like turned inside out. For someone to just stand there and like just, I don't know, write notes about me, I was just like, anyway, so I did the assessment, and I had to do like all kinds of like weird games and whatever, and react. She said like, how would you react if that happened to you, and can you please colour this in for me, or can you please, she was talking to me as well, like she was saying about like the fact that she had guinea pigs, and I don't know, she was just saying all these things. And then once the assessment was over, I left and everything, and a couple of weeks later my parents went into an appointment, and they told my parents that I had Aspergers and PDA traits, and PDA is called pathological demand avoidance, which kind of makes me sound like a bit of a sociopath. yeah, it speaks for itself. It's just demand avoidance, basically. I don't have like full-blown PDA, I just have like traits of it and stuff. It just comes on with my Asperger's, and like if my parents ask me to do something, I just avoid it. Like I don't mean to do it, I just don't like being told what to do and stuff. So it just seemed to make a lot of sense to me, because I was like, that's why that was but I remember my parents kept telling all my friends, like after I got diagnosed, they were like, she's still the same person, and it really upset me, because it was like they kind of knew how my friends would react, and so that's what they were saying, like she's still the same person and everything. And it was just it was really sad but really sweet at the same time, because I was still the same person. Like just because, you know, a label had been put on me, it didn't make me any different, because I was exactly the same. Like I was always Rhiannon with Asperger's, but no one knew. Just because we found out doesn't, you know, change me at all. At the time, after I got diagnosed and stuff, I just kind of explained to people that was why I acted a certain way, that's why I do certain things, and that's why I'm sensitive, and they just kind of didn't really get it, and they were just like, you just use it as an excuse and stuff. And like my family found it quite hard to process at first. Like a lot of them distanced me after that, like they distanced themselves from me and stuff, which is really hurtful. And a lot of my friends, they started noticing it more, so they were like arguing with me a lot more about it and stuff, because they kind of knew that it was there, so they knew what to use against me. And let's just say between those years I lost quite a lot of confidence. And like the thing is, like I'm saying that they're bad years, but they were good years, because I got help and I overcame my agoraphobia. I started going out and stuff again, thanks to my amazing IDS worker. I am forever in her debt. She's absolutely amazing. But I kind of took a relapse. Like I keep taking relapses of all these things, and then like I'm fine again, and then I take another relapse and I'm fine again. It's just, I don't know, there's just no like continual maintenance of okayness. And then I fell out with my best friend, like my best friend, who is a different friend actually from the one I was talking about in primary school. And I became very, very close to her after I left primary school and everything. She was like my absolute rock. In primary school, me and her were close. Like we've always been friends ever since we were toddlers, because she lives very, very near to me. And I fell out with her in 2013, and her parents literally just hated me after that. Like I tried to make up with her. I even drew her like all these little photos, and I'd post them through, or like I'd leave them by their door and stuff, and I'd give her little presents because I wanted to make up with her because she was my best friend. But they just turned me away a lot of the time. And I went to speak to them once, and her dad just sent me away, basically just sent me packing, and that made me lose a lot of confidence, because I don't know, like they just stopped my best friend from being friends with me because they didn't like me, and it just made me really self-conscious. I was like, I'm such a horrible person. And after 2013, like when I got better, like that was the point where I'd got better, everything bad just happened again, and I just lost so much more confidence. With these friendships, it makes sense, because my whole life it's always happened to me. Like I've always fallen out with friends and had misunderstandings with friends because of my Asperger's, but it just obviously made more sense to me after I was diagnosed. But I've just lost a lot of friends because of it, and like I always like make new friends and then lose them again, and then etc. just like a continual thing. But yeah, so in 2014, that was the year that I like started to like try to go into school, I guess. Because of social media, I spoke to quite a lot of people who went to the school that I was meant to be going to, and I was friends with quite a few people from that school through like my parents being friends with them, their parents, or whatever the reason was that I was friends with them. And so yeah, I spoke to quite a few people on social media. I gained confidence. I thought people actually like me. So the end of 2013 was bad, but then it got good again. Had a really bad fallout with another friend. So all kinds of different friends I was falling out with. And this was actually a friend who went to the school. That was absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. Again, I will do another video on that if you guys want me to, about like friendships and stuff. And it was annoying, because it was the point where I was meant to be going back into school that she was just ruining it for me. Like she was turning everyone against me, and she was manipulating everybody, making it seem as if I was the devil and everything, and everyone turned against me, and everyone called me a bitch and like a whore and a slut, and I was just having it all over again, but worse, because obviously in high school the bullying is worse because of the language used. Like I think in primary school it was more emotionally destroying, but in high school it was more sort of confidence breaking, and more, it made me start to hate people, like just hate people in general. So obviously high school didn't work out for me. I had so many panic attacks in lessons, and I don't know, people would just shout across the corridor, people would make comments, and because I was such an anxious person and my anxiety had got so bad, people shouting, it scares me. Like even if they're not shouting at me, it like vibrates through my body, and it scares me so much. Like I'm just so anxious, so anxious. I'm like a little mouse. I just get so scared really easily, and I could not deal with that. And I did not go in like full time. I only went in for like a few lessons and stuff. Like I was just dipping in and out, and my mum would always like wait in the reception, or my dad, because I couldn't let them leave, because I was like, well, what the fuck if I need to go home, like what? yeah, as you can tell, it was just a bit messed up and I was not confident at all. It probably wasn't even a good idea for me to go into school, that like I couldn't let my parents leave, but I was being forced to, so it wasn't my choice. I was more or less being forced to. And people like threatened me and blackmailed me my whole life, like, if you don't go to school, your mum and dad will go to prison, it's illegal. And I was just being blackmailed with that shit. It was horrible. I had so much pressure. I just did not want to go to school, but I did it just to appease everybody and to shut everyone up. It didn't work out for me. I lost a lot of friends, but at the same time I gained a lot of friends, and to this day I'm still friends with those people, which I'm so grateful for. But I have, over the past year, I have slowly fallen out or drifted apart from quite a few of those people because I don't see them. And a lot of people were just nasty to me about my Asperger's in high school, because I would always say like, this is why I'm doing this is why I'm doing this. I wanted people to understand, like, I wasn't doing it for a sympathy vote, and this is what I heard the most: you use it as an excuse. Like, that's not what I was trying to do at all. I wanted to make friends, and people don't understand how difficult it is when you're trying to make friends with people. And like, the thing is with me is that I cannot fake anything. Like, I hate being fake and I hate pretending, but that's what I was forced to do eventually. I only told people that I had Asperger's and that was how I acted because I thought, if they want to start a friendship with me, if they want to be my friend, I just want them to know, because it's very, very important for people to know, like, this is who I am, like, this is who I am. Asperger's does not go away, it's incurable, it's a condition, and it's part of who I am. If people can't accept that and people don't want to be my friend because of that, then that's not my fault, is it? No one said to me like, oh, no, don't worry, that's totally cool, like, I completely understand, like, I won't ever judge you for it, I can accept you and everything. And no one ever said that to me. It was always just use it as an excuse, like, shut up about your stupid condition. And there was this one kid in the year above me at high school who, I don't know, he was really nice to me and everything, but one of my friends at the time, she warned me. She said, oh, no, steer clear, he asks you all these weird questions, like, how far have you gone with a guy, and just all this gross stuff. And he started being horrible to me as well. Like, I feel like it was a piss take for the whole time. Like, him and his mates were just taking the piss out of me because he was friends with one of the kids who bullied me in primary school. I don't know to this day, like, I honestly don't know what the hell was going on there. And anyway, he kept saying like asparagus, like he kept shouting asparagus, like the vegetable, and I never knew like what the hell he was going on about. And one of my best friends, like my best friend at the time, and she was just kept like smirking and like, I don't know, like she found it funny, which I found a bit horrible. I did not understand what the reference was. I was like, asparagus, what are you going on about? He was just a dick. He was just a complete dick. Yeah, he just kept saying that, and I never understood the reference. No one ever told me, but I think about a year later I kind of realised, and a few people said like, because of your Asperger's, he's trying to be funny, he's trying to say like asparagus. And I was just like, I feel thick for not realising that sooner. I didn't pick up on it, and I didn't have that expectation for him to be horrible almost. I'm a bit slow with understanding things anyway. Like, I'm good at understanding, but like I'm just a bit slow with picking up on things. Yeah, and I was just like, okay, that's really nice. That's, you know, I've said this before, like, I hate it when people insult my autism because it's just so disrespectful, and it's insulting a whole entire community of people like me and people on the autistic spectrum. It makes me feel really sick, it really does. Anyway, so high school was awful. High school was probably just as bad as primary school, to be honest. Even though I wasn't really in high school, it was more like social media, and it really pissed my dad off. I had quite a bad fallout with my dad. Like, not fallout, but I argued with him quite a lot because he hated social media, and he said it was because of social media that it was happening. To be honest, it was 97% down to social media that all of this was happening. So yeah, when I was in primary school, no one used social media anyway. No one accepted me and everything, and I was like going out to town with my friends, which was such a massive step for me. Like, I went out to town with Lottie, actually, my best friend. I went out to town with her several times, and it was such a big step. I went out to town with all kinds of different friends. I couldn't do that in the like after summer in 2014 because of the impact that it had on me, like how shit people had treated me from high school. I drifted apart from a lot of my friends because I was like a home bird. I was very housebound, and it got to the point where, like, without meaning to, like very inadvertently, I almost like pretended that the Asperger's wasn't there just for the sake of having friends. It's not like, Asperger's is not a big deal at all. Like, I am exactly the same as everyone else, but I just think differently. That is the only thing that it does to change me. But I was really scared of like the stigma, and I was really scared that people would sort of judge me for it because there was such a stigma around it. And I was really scared that if I said it to people, they'd be like, oh my god, are you contagious, get away. And I know that's horrible, and I know that's messed up, and I shouldn't feel like that, but people made me feel that way. Like, people made me so scared to be myself, and I think I lost myself. I think I really like genuinely lost who I was. I just kind of forgot who I was. I couldn't accept myself because nobody else was accepting me. And like, when I was first diagnosed with Asperger's, and you know, when I was like a kid until I started high school, I knew who I was. I literally knew who I was. I was like, I am Rhiannon Salmons. I am Rhiannon Salmons. Bitch, don't you touch me. Don't you touch me. Like, I knew who I was. I was so confident. And after I was diagnosed with Asperger's, yeah, I lost a lot of confidence in terms of going out because of the bullying, but I did not lose self-confidence. And I think after high school, or after, you know, I gave up with high school, I did lose a lot of self-confidence. I just didn't know who I was. Like, I don't know, I feel like I was just having these friendships because it was the normal thing to do, and I was like, I'm so cool now, like, I'm like part of high school, and I'm really cool, and I'm gonna have all these friendships, and it was just messed up as hell. Like, that is not the way it's meant to be. Like, I was censoring myself for other people's ignorance because I wanted to have friends. So I was like, I can't tell them that I've got Asperger's, otherwise I won't have friends then. I was trying to forget who I really was. I was trying to forget about the fact that I had Asperger's, and I was just trying to fit in and be normal. And this is so bad. I think it was like the beginning of last year, the end of 2014. I was reading this article one morning on Facebook. Like, this is so messed up. I was reading this article and it said something about Asperger's, and I was like, Asperger's? Wait a minute, I've got Asperger's. Oh yeah. And I said out loud, I said, oh yeah, that's what I've got. Like, I fucking forgot. And that was all just because I'd spent so much time wrapped up in having friends, and like, I forgot myself. Like, I literally forgot myself, and it's so sad, and that's where a lot of my depression came from. I was always so like promoting of autism when I was diagnosed. I was like, yeah, autism, I'm so cool, I've got Asperger's, and I promoted it so much. I even made a page on Facebook, and I forgot for at least 3 weeks. I had like this film over my mind, like I was just a different person for a while. I was just this person that I wasn't 24/7. It was like an alter ego. It was horrible. I felt like I had schizophrenia or something, like I just changed. Like, it was absolutely horrible. Like, and I know that I'm gonna get so much judgment for that, but it was just because I was so wrapped up in having friends, and I just wanted to fit in, because my whole life all people ever seemed to do was judge me for being who I was, and telling me that I was too self-confident, and telling me that I needed to change in order to have friendships. Like, even like a lot of the school counsellors said, you need to do this in order to have friends around, and you need to not be mean, and you need to not say this stuff. And I don't know. I'm still very promoting in autism, and every time I see someone with autism, like, I want to hug them and I want to help them, and like, and don't worry, I think about it on a daily basis now. Like, you're Rhiannon and you've got Asperger's and you're amazing, like, regardless of what people say, and you know, you can use this to like your limit. It's not because I was ashamed of the Asperger's, at all. Like, I was not ashamed of it, because I think it's incredible. Like, and all the best people in life, like the most successful people in life, have Asperger's, and it's such a gift. It's such a gift. But people were poisoning me with this stuff that made me feel like it was something to be ashamed of. But once I found myself again, I was like, you stupid girl, it's nothing to be ashamed of. Like, the last few weeks and months in particular, I have literally found myself again, and I'm so much more happy and confident with who I am as a person now, and it feels so good. But yeah, so that's my Asperger's story. I have Asperger's, and I've always been judged for it, but I don't care, because there are so many people. Like, my mum is a massive Asperger's promoter. She's the most supportive person in my life. She is absolutely incredible, absolutely incredible. My family become a lot more accepting. My brother is lovely to me now, my sister is, and my dad is, you know, he's working on it still, but that's just a typical man thing, but he's still supportive, and he would do anything for me. They all would, and I'm so grateful. And my bestest friends, like my closest friends, accept me for it. I still struggle with it now, you know. I mean, I struggle to understand people's emotions, and I have a sort of very different opinion towards the world from what my friends and family do. You know, we get lost in translation and misunderstand each other minorly sometimes, but I've learned to accept myself so much. I really have, and I've been rambling for so long now, and this is such a long video, but if you've stuck around to the end, then thank you so much. I'm so grateful. I was planning like a massive speech for the end of the video, but I don't know, I can't, because I'm running out of time. And yeah, but the long and short of it is, like, I've accepted myself, and I accept everyone with autism. You know, I think it's such a blessing. The past year, I've become so much more empathetic towards people like that. Like, I always have been, but just the empathy has grown. It's emotional for me to watch these autism programs, because it's like me finding myself almost, and just, I don't know, like, I'm just such a massive promoter of it, especially the past month with all these autism programs. Stop it, BBC, you're making me all emotional. That's my Asperger's story, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. It is Autism Awareness Day, and I really wanted to do this video for you, because what better time? I really hope I helped some of you. Give me your feedback. Always know that I'm here to support you if you need it. And I really hope I helped at least one of you. Even if you don't have Asperger's, if you have like another kind of autism, like anything on the autistic spectrum, I still hope I helped, and I just want to do my best to kind of promote autism awareness. And I would be like a lot more happy and jumpy in this video, but it's just so emotional. It's so emotional. Like I hope my emotion is really coming through. Like I know I might not seem very passionate about promoting it, but I really don't want to get like teared up and stuff. So yeah, hats off to anyone who has autism, and in fact any other mental health condition or anything like that, because it's admirable and you're absolutely amazing. And I found myself finally, and I am who I am, and if you don't like it, go away, but if you do, amazing, we can be best buddies. Happy Autism Awareness Day, and thank you so much for listening to my story and what I had to say. And this is me. This is me. If you've not yet got dressed today, then put some blue clothes on and do your bit. If you know somebody with autism or whatever, or anything like that, just do anything to spread the love and spread the awareness and help in any way you can, because I'm trying my best to, and I have so much empathy and love and everything like that. So I accept myself, and I hope you guys can accept me too. I'm not different majorly, I'm just got my quirks, and that's that really. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and comment down below if I helped or anything like that. Yeah, it means a lot to me. So I'm gonna stop rambling now. Bye guys.